In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how we used AI lead magnets to increase the sales of one of our coaching businesses, doing over $100,000 per month. And most importantly, how you can go out there, create your own AI lead magnets and use them to actually drive more sales for your coaching or consulting business. All right. Now, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Leruo Theledi, and I've spent the past few years working with multiple coaches and consultants, helping them scale to 6 and 7-figure months. And on this channel, I break down all the lessons I've learned along the way through all these different projects. Now, if that sounds like something that's interesting for you, make sure to subscribe. And at the very end of this video, I'm going to be giving you a few templates that are going to help you create your own AI lead magnet in just a few hours. So you want to make sure you stick around for that. Okay, so let's get into everything that we're actually going to be covering today, all right? So the first thing we're going to be covering is the number one thing that matters most if you want your lead magnets to convert. The second thing we're going to be covering is a real case study of an AI lead magnet that worked. And the third thing we're going to be covering is the fastest way to build and test your own AI lead magnet, okay? So let's get into the first point, which is the most important thing that matters if you want your lead magnet to convert. And I just thought I'd take a few seconds to go over this because for some people, they make this fundamental mistake and they think that AI is going to kind of come and help and save their business or save the success of their lead magnets, better said. And so this is just something that is super, super important, okay? So the key and most important thing when it comes to creating any lead magnet is we ideally need to start with the problem, okay? We need to make sure that our lead magnet solves a painful problem, but more specifically, it solves a micro transformation, okay? That's of course ultimately leads to our macro transformation, all right? So one small specific problem that they have is ultimately under a much bigger problem, right? So I worked with a relationship coach and essentially she helps basically like women attracting their partners and all of this stuff, right? And so one of the micro transformations was figuring out the things that you do that kind of repel these type of men and so, right? So this is just a random example now, right? But ideally you want your micro transformation to be a smaller problem that they have that eventually, leads them to wanting your biggest solution, okay? So that's very, very important, all right? Now there's two key things you want to make sure you have right, because I generally see that this is where people make the biggest mistakes with their lead magnets, right? The first thing is that one, the pain needs to be painful enough, and two, it needs to be small enough. And I really want to emphasize this because it sounds very simple in practice, but after working with a lot of different coaches and consultants, it's the number one thing that people struggle to actually nail, okay? And so painful enough, obviously, right, is that the problem must matter, right? Because otherwise you will not be able to attract people to your lead magnet, right? So it needs to be something painful, but it also needs to be small enough, right? So that you can get them that win as quickly as possible, right? And the way I like to think about this is kind of like with a bridge analogy, right? So if you think about someone from at point A and point B, the problem, right, is you want to get them over to point B, right? Ultimately, right? But the smaller the size of the bridge, okay, the shorter the bridge, i.e. the simpler it is for them to cross over, the easier it's going to be for them to get the win, right? So you want a painful problem, but you want to try and make sure that you can find something that's the easiest to possibly solve, because this really determines how powerfully you can activate leads. I've worked with a lot of different coaches and they have lead magnets that people just watch and they consume and they're like, oh, nice, great, thank you, but they don't really activate. They don't really want to do more as a result of it. And it's usually because they're not able to get that quick win, all right? So really, really, really important is that the simpler the bridge or the shorter the bridge, the faster completion, the less friction, right? The easier, right? The longer the bridge, more steps, more effort, more drop off, the harder, right? So don't solve massive problems in lead magnets, right? Solve very small problems that are very painful so you can get them that win. You attract them and small enough that you can get that outcome. So let's go over the case study of what we actually did with our lead magnet and how it actually helped one of our businesses, right? So basically this business is basically helping entrepreneurs launch products, right? And one of the stages was choosing a product idea, okay? And so this lead magnet ideally solved this problem, okay? And it was a very painful step that most people actually felt. They felt that once I got there, I didn't know, this was one problem I had, right? And so it was painful, but it was also something that was simple enough to solve quickly, okay? Basically what we did was we launched a guide version originally before AI was like, super big, and it worked. Template version worked and an AI version ultimately performed the best. But the key thing is that AI never saved something that didn't work, like I said before, okay? The problem was already validated before AI was introduced, okay? And this is one thing that's really, really important. okay? So once we launched the AI, it absolutely went nuts. We've never gotten such a crazy response, and the rate with which people started to ascend to our core offers went up quite a lot, right? And so I want to really emphasize this, because the AI is going to come in there and it's going to help you make it faster, maybe more personalized, okay? But it has to have the right problem. Another example is we actually tried another lead magnet as a testing, and it didn't really work as well because the problem wasn't so strong. So that is just, once again, to drive the point home, okay? Let's get into how to actually build and test these AI lead magnets, because you want to make sure that you don't get lost playing around with tools like Claude Code, Codex, because I build a lot of stuff in those tools. But you want to ideally get the fastest and the easiest way to actually build a lead magnet, especially if you're someone that's not really majorly technical, okay? So we found that custom GPTs are the fastest way to test an AI, right? So if you're going to go out there and start building in Claude Code, or you're going to get a developer to help you, or you're going to get a vibe coder to help you, this is great, but it all costs a lot of time, resources, and most of those AI tools need to run on APIs that also cost you every single day. So the fastest and the easiest and the cheapest way to get started is with a custom GPT. And the cool thing about this is, if you have an account with ChatGPT, the $20 per month subscription, you can actually go out there and create a GPT, right? So for example, here I'm in my ChatGPT account. You can navigate to the GPT section and you can actually go out there and just simply create a GPT, all right? And it's as easy as giving it a name and then instructions and then a knowledge base, okay? Now, really important is when it comes to the GPT, okay, you have two parts, right? You have the knowledge base and you have the instructions. These are the most important things when it comes to any GPT, all right? Your knowledge base is your frameworks, your concepts, your examples, and the theory you would teach someone. And your instructions are how to engage with the user, okay? So for example, if this GPT is designed to help you find your product ideas, then your knowledge base is gonna be your whole theory on product idea finding or generation, whatever that might be, how to get a successful product idea. Now, usually this is in the form of just a document, and it explains the whole process as if you would teach it in a video program, as if you would teach it to a student, as if you would give it to someone so that they can learn. So it's like teaching a human. So it's all about how it engages with the person using the tool, okay? This is really nice because once you've created your GPT and you've put it together, you can actually test it here, ask it questions, and then most importantly, once it's created, you can actually just share it with a link and somebody can use it. If they have a free ChatGPT account, they can actually use your GPT, and that's the easiest way to get it out there, so you can test it and you can test its core functionality, right? Its actual knowledge and its ability to help somebody to do something, okay? This is really like kind of become our process for testing these AIs. We first launch them as GPTs, and then we get the feedback, we see how people are experiencing them, and then we build them into these full UI, well-designed, built-in Claude Code, Codex. That's pretty much been our best approach for doing that, okay? So what I've actually done, guys, is below this video, you'll find an example of how to set up a knowledge base and an example instructions, so you can pretty much get started with those for your own business, all right? And yeah, so that you can go out there and create your own GPTs, right? Most importantly, okay? So just a summary of what we covered today. So once again, choose the problem first, add AI second, okay? Find one painful, narrow problem, connect the small win to your main offer, validate the idea before adding complexity, build the first version with a custom GPT, test, refine, and scale what users prove that they want. I hope that all makes sense, and I hope this helps you to create much better lead magnets that help you to sell your core offers more effectively. Now, if you want more content like this, I drop a video like this every few weeks where I share the strategies and stuff we're using to scale across different coaching and consulting businesses. So drop a subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're notified on that next video. And if you want my team to actually help you go out there and scale your own coaching and consulting business, and by the way, this is not a coaching or a course, this is actually a done for you service, then you can click the link below to apply and learn more about how we can help you grow too. All right, awesome. I hope to see you in the next one.